I'm sitting here with my very good friend, Shauna. Shauna replied to my request for people to talk to in my Let's Connect video series that I'm doing. So thank you, Shauna. It's so nice that you're going to talk to me because you have such great things to say. When you speak, you are so eloquent and you have such an insightful mind and view on life. So I really wanted you to be able to share that with, well, first of all our high school friends who are going to watch this, but second of all,
I know.
you know they are. It's going to be like, oh my God.
I know.
I'm really trying not to say, pandemic and crisis. I don't want to think about it that way. So anyway, I wanted to kind of talk to you and, see how you and your family are coping. So you're in Kelowna. I'm in Vancouver. So I definitely know what we're doing here. Tell me, what's going on in your household?
Probably something very similar to what's going on in everybody's household around the province and around the country. I have two kids that are 12 and 15, and they are home, starting to navigate the whole homeschooling situation. I think we're all going through a period of sort of scratching our heads, what just happened and what is happening, and this is so strange and unusual, and we're no different here in Kelowna. There is a whole lot of gratitude here for healthcare staff. One of the things that I have been involved with is, of course, I work for the KGH Foundation, which is our hospital here. And early on,
Kelowna General Hospital. Yeah.
Kelowna General Hospital, yep. And when this all happened, we were about to launch a huge fundraising project for stroke. And we had to pump the brakes on that, obviously, because when this came up, this whole pandemic came up, it came up so quickly. And it just overwhelmed everything in healthcare and also the public conversation, as it did with you. I mean, you work in financing and in the real estate business, right? Like it just completely it took over everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that I've been involved in that has given me a lot of purpose during this period of isolation, as I'm working from home, working at the hospital foundation, come to realize that, we occupy a really unusual and unique space in the sense that we're the bridge between community and the frontline staff. And people are grateful and they do want to show their gratitude to frontline staff. So just brainstorming with my team, and we developed a really beautiful gratitude project called the White Heart Project. So this is something that we literally rolled out in 48 hours. Wow. It was amazing, actually. It's amazing what people can accomplish when you have to, and you don't have the luxury of 8,000 meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
Just get it done. It's just like, okay, well, let's just get it done. Let's not debate, do we do this or do that? How about this? How about that? How about we just do it and worry about it later? And that's kind of how it all happened. So we launched the White Heart Project here, which is basically an opportunity for people in the central Okanagan or basically the interior health region to show their support for hospital staff at KGH by sending them a message on a white heart. We write it out, post it up in the hospital. It's super beautiful. Like the hospital now is just completely papered in these beautiful hearts. And then in addition, we've invited the community to post white hearts on their doors and windows so that anybody who happens to live in the community or in the neighborhood that you're in can see immediately recognizable that, it's a white heart. That's meant for honoring frontline hospital staff, healthcare workers, people that work in community, in homes. We often think that healthcare is just limited to hospital, but it's not, right? Like there's people that are working in healthcare all throughout the community, and they're all still going to work. And so this was a really, really wonderful way to say, hey, you know what, we see you.
and something you did that I loved recently, and which is why I really wanted to, one of the other things I wanted to discuss with you. You had done this, you know, you're walking the dog, you go on hikes, um, and you posted a list of music that you used to, you know, bring yourself peace and calm. Because another thing that you do is you are a yogi. Is that the right word? Isn't that bad? I do. You do. Yeah. Okay.
I teach yoga and I practice yoga.
There you go. She teaches and she practices yoga. So that was real. That was really cool. So she did this playlist and she put it out there, and you know, and said, hey, this really helps me. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it'll help you. And you called it Time.
I'll share the link with you as well, but it is a Spotify playlist, which is open source, so anybody can listen to it. Yeah, but it's funny because I built that playlist probably about 2 weeks before all of this hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I built it because yeah, like you said, I was just actually, you know, I was having my own personal inquiry with this whole notion of time. I'm 44 years old, 45 years old,
Yeah,
you know.
too.
Um, Last year, I unexpectedly, not that anybody ever expects this, but I was diagnosed with breast cancer, as you know. It was early stage, but at 44, that's pretty young to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And as a result, you know, I spent some time at home undergoing treatment, and then I made some choices about some things that I wanted to do in my life. One of them being was take a trip to Australia with my family for a month. So once everything had resolved, and I was feeling better, and I was able to kind of get back to my regular energy levels, I started planning this trip to Australia, and we went in January, and it was wonderful. With my two children, who, as I mentioned, are 12 and 15, and my husband. My husband's a realtor. He works a lot, which is not a judgment. Lots of people work a lot, and he just happens to be one of them. So this was such a precious opportunity for the four of us to just like literally get away from our lives.
Yeah.
Not that our lives need to be escaping from, but it was just so wonderful to like have all of this time and space to be with each other with no distractions. There was no friends. There was like no other family around. There was no work. There was nothing to do except be with each other, which was interesting at times.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. And as we were flying home, I literally, like, and this was at the end of January, so like all this timing was kind of important to this inquiry. This was at the end of January. I literally, like, I totally lost my shit. Sorry, am I allowed to say that? I cried. I was upset on the plane ride home. It just hit me, like, you know, and I'm sure anybody out there that's a parent with kids, like,
Yeah.
you just realize like how precious the time that you have with them is, and that how it goes by so fast. I was just feeling like, you know, what happens when there's no time? Like, what do we give up when we have no time? Time is a currency, you know, and we talk about it that way too. It's like, got it, where do you spend your time, how to save time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
See how I did that? It's like linking that to like money. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like but time also holds some of our most precious currency, in the sense that like that's where all the life happens, all the love, all the laughter, the grace. And when there isn't time, I feel like, for me anyway, I was at this place where I was just like annoyed that I didn't have time for that, you know, authentic connection anymore. Like this, Jordan, like, I mean, jeepers, how many years has it been since we've actually talked? And we spoke on the phone for like what, over an hour last week.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Hennessy asked me, who are you talking to today? You've got two interviews. And So I told her the first one, and then I said, I'm speaking to Shauna. Oh, okay, well then I know you're going to be a long time. And she rolled her eyes.
Because we have time.
That's because we have time. And
that's my point.
I felt so much like you, Shauna, in that, and it was making me grumpy. I mean, I know I'll probably go back to being grumpy as a result of it, but so busy, and I managed time very well, but that, that's the thing. I overmanaged it. I can do it all. I have to, do everything. And same with you, daughter and competitive dancing and horse riding. And I want to be there for everything. And again, I don't want to make judgments to people out there, but I'm kind of having the time of my life right now, because sure, I'm still working, 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes even 12. Like you said, it's busy in the real estate industry if you so choose. And certainly with finance, everything right now, it's a whole new narrative that I need to be dealing with. But the fact that I'm not rushing around, that I get to just sit and be with my daughter, I feel so much more calm, so much more at peace.
Yes.
Happier. And we know things aren't going to go back to how they were. There are going to be some definite changes. And I'm thinking that I'm going to have to implement some changes in my life so that I can feel this way again, because now I know kind of how stressed out and lots of anxiety, like you said, how it was before, right?
Yeah, and there's a teaching in Buddhism that is like, I think really relevant to what you just said. And it's basically like, once you wake up, you can never go back to sleep. And I think this is all a collective awakening. I don't like to, I lean towards optimism. I always have. And this situation is no different. It's hard for people. And I do want to just, we talked about, I want to acknowledge that, like, we don't have to be going around going, oh, this is so great. I get to walk my dog. And, like, we're allowed to be shitty about this. Like, we're allowed to be frustrated and sad and grieve. And like, so many people are losing, like, their footing. They talk, Maslow has that hierarchy of needs, like just feeling safe.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to, I don't want to have this conversation and like dismiss that. Like, it's real.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important that in this, we all open up an inquiry personally to like, okay, what am I waking up to right now?
Yeah.
For me and you, we both like are having this, and I suspect a lot of people are having this experience of like, holy crap, that way of living was just not sustainable, but you don't know it when you're in it. So so that's kind of what I have been thinking about while I'm at home. All of a sudden, time has shape shifted, like completely. Like, for a period of a couple weeks there, like especially early on when this happened, was like the universe, I say weird stuff like that too, like the universe was pulling us in a direction, but it was like you had to pay attention because everything was changing. First, it was like day by day, then it was hour by hour, then it was minute by minute. And that to me is like, that's like a call to like be present.
Yeah.
And that's like the most important thing that we can really practice in our lives, is that idea of like dropping really intimately into a moment, whether that's personally, whether that's in our work, or whether that's with our little people or our family. So I don't know. I feel like we're all being called, like, just with the way this thing moves, to be present with what is, and be present to what was, and to be present to what maybe is possible. That's super yogi.
Thank you so much, Shauna. That was wonderful.